control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic. I'm your host, Mark. Today, by random selection, I am covering an anthology series that first aired in 1961. It is called Way Out. It's an American series. It's kind of a horror, fantasy, sci-fi, and it's hosted by Roald Dahl. Long before Tales of the Unexpected, Roald Dahl was hosting an American horror show. I believe they wanted a British presenter or spokesman in the same vein as Boris Karloff doing Thriller and Alfred Hitchcock Presents by Alfred Hitchcock, of course. I have no evidence for that, but I just feel that was really what the template was. Now, these were fairly short stories, 25 minutes. Roald Dahl would present them face to the camera, full on. Sometimes with different effects going on behind him. For example, in this there was like an eternal camera effect, so his face went on and on forever just behind him, and he just expounds on the material, and it's kind of funny. He's kind of dry. He's got a very Hitchcock vibe to him in terms of how he's delighted in the horrors of the thing to come and how people are going to enjoy it. It's particularly old ladies, he says, who will relish what's going on here, and it's kind of fun. I quite enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty good. It is on YouTube, and this particular episode is called William and Mary. William and Mary is on YouTube. The series itself only lasted 14 episodes. It kind of did not succeed, I guess, but I actually rather liked it, I have to say. It was aired on, I'm trying to find the channel, can't find it. Okay, it aired on CBS, black and white, of course, for 1961. And there's some quality in this. I really liked the first episode greatly. This first episode was based on a story by Roald Dahl. And in fact, this was the only one of the run that was a story based on one already done by Roald Dahl. So that was kind of interesting too. And the story is William and Mary. It was first published in his collection called, I think, Kiss Kiss, 1960 collection, or 1959 collection was when he first published a story on its own, and then he included it in his 1960 collection, Kiss Kiss, which then went on to form like the basis of his Tales of the Unexpected. A lot of the stories in Tales of the Unexpected were from Kiss Kiss. And this actual story was also adapted in the series Tales of the Unexpected at a later date, in the late 70s. So there is that. Basically, Mary is a downtrodden husband, downtrodden wife, with a very overbearing and quite unpleasant bullying husband who's a professor who likes to throw his weight about and tell his wife what to think and what to do. And she's fairly mousy and sort of timid, does what she's told. And it progresses from there. This first aired on March the 31st, 1961, and each subsequent episode was a week. It went on until July the 14th, 1961. And 14 of them, I might start trying to work through these. I did enjoy this. I did have a look and see if there was a box set for it, and I couldn't find one. So I think YouTube might be the only resource for this. I will say, though, there is an image. If you go to the Wikipedia page for Way Out, there is an image from an episode called Soft Focus with Barry Morse. There's a very striking image. It's Barry Morse's face is half missing. It's kind of covered in a white film. And I've seen that image before, and you know what? I thought it was a Twilight Zone episode, but there you go. It wasn't. It was one of these Soft Focus, as I say. The 13th of the 14 as well. And recently we obviously covered the episode of Outer Limits where Barry Morse features. That was a pretty fun episode, and I reckon he'd probably do a good job in something like this too. So, story is, Mary is this downtrodden. Her husband is given a terminal diagnosis. He's dying. He remains angry and shouty and annoying, but she's just says, yes, dear, whatever you say, dear, and all this. But a doctor comes to see him, played by Fritz Weaver, Dr. Landy. Fritz Weaver, probably know him best as the Mad Doctor in the Reanimator movie. And his performance here, he doesn't look that different. To be honest, he doesn't look that different. His performance here is very, very energetic and helps with the material. The material is very wordy and about medical details. A lot of it cod, but he's talking about the structure of the brain, but he delivers the dialogue with a lot of energy, and it kind of works. It's a bit like when they have to do the techno speak in Star Trek. If you give it some energy, it kind of sees you through. And he had quite a lot to do. I was hoping we'd have an analogy at some point, as we do with Star Trek techno, think of a balloon. When you inflate, something like that. But no, he just gives you details about the brain and tries to explain to this professor, who's a clever clugs and knows all about the stuff he's talking about. And sort of describes what's going to happen. Basically, he says if you remove the brain in a certain way and keep the blood flowing, you can live forever. And he says, oh yeah, we can keep an eye as well. We could remove your brain and also extract one eye. Of course, you won't have any musculature to just float at the top of the tank, but they were lying. And William's like, can I have an ear as well? He says, no, we can't do an ear. That's not. The eye is a part of structure of the brain, but ear it really isn't. It's an extension. I have to say also, William is played very well by Henry Jones, who's kind of a familiar face from early 60s American TV, and Mildred Dinnock as Mary as well. I quite liked her. I've seen her in something else, and I thought it was Mel Brooks is The Producers, was one of the little old ladies in that, but she doesn't appear on the cast list, so I think it's just someone who looks like her. And she's fairly good in this Mousy Row, but when they spring on her, they've got William's brain in a jar with an eye floating above. She's not perturbed. She's very happy. In fact, we see her after William has supposedly died, enjoying herself, having loud music, smoking cigarettes, dancing around the room, reading magazines and throwing stuff about, basically doing her own thing. And she finds out William is in a jar, and she's like, okay. Goes and turns up, starts looking over at the eye, goes, that's him, is it? And she then taps out the cigarette on the eye, much to the perturbation of Dr. Landy, Fritz Weaver. And she says, no, I want to take him home. She basically wants to take him home, torture him, or, tease him and show her how she lives now while he cannot talk back. And she's like really taken that he's quiet. It's kind of a fun one. The original story was slightly different. She got after his death, Mary got a note about him explaining what was going on, the procedure, but I think it's much the same otherwise. And it's so there's also some communication. They can link up some sort of oscilloscope and get some feedback. But Mary does not care. She's very gleefully happy, and it just ends. And it's quite a dark little show for the time. I was quite surprised and pleasantly surprised how dark and morbid it was, and I quite enjoyed it. So this one's a recommend for me, and as I say, I may try to watch more of them if I can find them on YouTube, but this one is a big recommend. William and Mary, Way Out, Just search on YouTube for that and you'll find it. There's several versions as well, so you've got a choice. So good one. Now, so from this point, as we now hit December, I'll be parking the usual sort of flow of things in Anthologic, and I'm going to do what I usually do during this season. I'll be working through some of the BBC Ghost Stories series. I've kind of been doing that in chronological order. I've covered a few now. Anthologic's been running a few years, so I'll be moving on to a couple of those during the month of December. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, so goodbye from me. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to